You are listening to Coast AM. Connie Willis here with you. Find me at conniewillis.com, even for the newsletter. And I look forward to meeting you. And hopefully you'll be a part of one of the different shows that I have, many different ones. Had a lot of great calls and texts and tweets and whatever you call Twitter now coming at me. Thank you so much for enjoying the last couple of hours. Now let's see what happens in the next couple of hours, because I've gotten a lot of tweets, Twitters, whatever, all the social media that comes in, all the information. And by the way, you guys, you don't have to do everything direct message. I'd rather you do it out loud where everybody sees it. So they also can comment, because I know everybody, yeah, that was really cool. What do you think of this? Now, please do it there. It's okay. We can talk amongst ourselves. It's all good for the most part. But I do understand, because there's a lot of people that'll say ugly things back, and you don't want to be a part of that. So I do get it. But hopefully we can trample them out with all the people that are really interested and really want to know the truth, because that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. Okay, now we've got a big story to tell, don't we? Because, man, the controversy has been going from people that have never believed. Maybe they believe, maybe they're on the fence, maybe they're deep researchers. And I know from back and forth, and we were talking about the Silverton Bigfoot that that is roaming around in the Bigfoot world and beyond. And it's about, really, it seems to be back to the argument of, is it real or is it not? Now, keep this in mind. When all you do is talk about, is it real or not? Well, you don't get into anything deeper, do you? You just don't. Is it real or not? Yes, no, yes, no. That goes back to 101. And to me, that's just, that is just a way to keep you stuck in 101. So get past that. If you don't believe it, then move on to something else. If you do believe it, let's talk deeper into that part of it, because the other gets you nowhere, right? Gets you nowhere. All right. So let's get into the story as we have heard it. We've got some really interesting guests here tonight. Let me pull up all the different things that we've got going on with this, because I really wanted to be thorough with this. We're going to bring on the two people that were there for the event. We don't have the guy that shot the video, but we're also going to find out about what that is, because there's a lot of people going, well, who shot the video? Well, whose voice is that? Why is that voice not enthusiastic? If that person actually saw the Bigfoot from the train from Durango to Silverton in Colorado, they would have more enthusiasm. So that can't be a Bigfoot, because he would have had more enthusiasm. That was actually, I saw that several times. Okay. I read that, heard that from people, but sometimes you're just not enthusiastic. Sometimes you're like in awe. You're in shock. Well, that looks like this suit that I saw here. And here's a picture of that suit. Well, does it really look like that suit? Well, look at the hair on it. It looks fake. It looks like he's got pants on. Do we know it's a he? Is that maybe shadows? Because if you live in the state of Colorado, and I do, and you're out there researching, and I do, there's a lot of shadows out there that you don't believe until you walk about a half a mile thinking you saw a cave. And then you get there and you're going, I walked this high up at this feet, and I walked this hard and long on the Rockies. There's a reason why they call it the Rockies. And it's a shadow. I thought it was a huge cave. Lots of shadows. Well, tonight, who we have with us is the couple that was just, enjoying a train ride, and we'll let them tell the story. We have Shannon Parker and her husband, Stetson Parker, one of the coolest names ever. And that's who we're going to bring on first. We got someone else to bring on too. He's going to be on standby with us. But first of all, I want to welcome first-time guest Shannon and also Stetson. I think you're both on together at the same time.
Yes, I believe so.
Hey there, Stetson. I haven't met you, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
But I have met Shannon, And she's just fun to talk to and having a good time with it. And, I'm kind of dealing more with the controversial part of it. You guys are going, look at this. This is great. This is fun. So Shannon, why don't you start with the story of how this all occurred? And by the way, I was introduced to this from Dr. Leo Rukeby. He's the council member of the Society for Physical Research. You can find him at rukeby.com. And he said, Connie, this is in the Newsweek. You have to check it out. Have you seen it yet? And then I saw it and I went, oh my gosh. And by the way, I believe it's true. After that happened, I got a hold of Shannon, and Shannon told me the story. And now you get to tell it on Coast.
Okay, so the trip just started out as an anniversary present. My husband booked this, surprised me with this bucket list train ride through Durango to Silverton, and then it comes back from Silverton to Durango. So we took the train ride, and we're looking at all the beautiful scenery, and we stopped in Silverton. Then once we got back on the train, we were leaving Silverton, and we came to kind of an open area in the mountain, and I asked him to help me look for elk. And we were the last two seats on the back open-air gondola of the train. So we're looking for elk, and all of a sudden my husband says, I think I see something moving. And I was like, what is it? And he was like, I don't know. It looks like Bigfoot. And when he says that, the guy that was sitting right beside him, his name is Brandon. Brandon grabs his cell phone and starts recording video. And I was trying to grab my SLR camera to be able to zoom in to see exactly what it was. And so I grabbed my camera, and I couldn't find him in the mountains because he blended so well with the sage. And so I'm zoomed in as much as I can in the pictures, and I snap a couple of pictures. And about that time, the train goes around a mountain, and so it's out of view. And so that's pretty much sets the scene for the video and the photos.
So Stetson, what is your perspective of this story?
Pretty spot on accurate. When she asked me to help her look for elk, I was pretty excited about it because, it's hunting season here in this part of the country. And so, excuse me, when the temperatures fall, the elk go into rut, and so they start mating. And so it's really exciting to see it. We've seen it a couple of different times in SD State Park in Colorado, right outside of the Rocky Mountain National Park. And so we were looking for elk, and I see it moving, and, I'm trying to reason with myself, what am I seeing right now? What is this, creature? And, I told my wife, I was like, hey, something's moving. She's like, what is it? And, again, trying to be a rational adult, I can't think of anything it looks like. And so I was like, well, it looks like Bigfoot. And it kind of started a ruckus, around us. Like she said, Brandon immediately, living in the 21st century, pulls out his cell phone to record it. I was kind of still in between 1989, 1991 time frame in my mind because I'm not thinking the power of the technology in my pocket, to record this creature that's walking, the ever elusive, as I like to say. And so, it was really surreal for me to see, something that I had never known of its actual existence and, had never seen any physical evidence of it being real.
So tell me again, you were seeing it, but Brandon was shooting it, but that was your voice that we heard saying, hey, give me that, I'll show you how to shoot it, or something like that?
That was, so it was my husband's voice who very calmly, as everyone says, points out the ever elusive creature. And then it's me saying, where is it? Because even with my Zoom camera and it zoomed all the way in, I couldn't see it in the viewfinder because he had bent down, and I was having a hard time figuring out in that terrain, because he blended in so well, where he was actually at. And so it was my husband telling me, hand me your camera and I'll, try to find it for you. And Brandon is the one recording the video.
Okay. And then what happened? Did he just sent it to you later? Is that how you got it?
Yeah. So the train ride back is about 3.5 hours. So once that event happened, everyone around us, once they, the commotion started, kind of the couple behind us stood up, and then there was a couple beside Brandon that was kind of looking too, and they may have gotten a glimpse of the creature, but they didn't have their cameras out to video either. But we all just kind of talked about it, the whole train ride back, discussing, kind of going through all the scenarios that everyone online is, what is this? What did we actually see? Was this Bigfoot? Was this a publicity stunt? Was it, a hunter? All of that. And so we're all kind of watching the video, looking at the pictures, and just, discussing it the whole time. And none of us thought it was a hunter in a ghillie suit. None of us saw a weapon. And I know from that time, bow season was over, so hunters would have had rifles, or they would have had their orange on, for the hunting laws in Colorado. And none of that was occurring. And then there's one person that works on the train that comes back to light the lanterns, and we were sitting right beside that. So when he came back there to do it, we decided to, ask him, does the train, put on publicity stunts like that for the train guests, And he was like, no, we don't do that. And then we were like, well, we saw Bigfoot. And he's like, what? And we showed him the video. And then he proceeds to tell us an experience that he had where he was out in the San Juan Mountains snowshoeing one time, and he saw tracks that weren't snowshoes and that were bigger than that, and he couldn't explain it. And then, that he's had other experiences such as that, in the mountains in Colorado as well. So we were kind of like, okay, well, it wasn't the train that put it on, so then it just kind of got more real in our heads, after weighing out all the options, I guess. And then there were all the people around were so excited, so they were all asking Brandon to send them the video. There were probably, I think he might have sent it to like 7 families or something like that, but he sent it to us specifically because it was my husband's voice on there. My husband was the one that pointed it out. So Brandon was like, well, y'all are the one that saw it first. So, he shared it with us.
And as you've said too, Brandon, he shot it, but he's his own guy. He's like, look, I'm doing my own thing. I don't want any credit for this. I don't want to be known for this. I don't want to be the guy known to have shot that. And he is just staying private. And I get that. I totally understand that. I totally get that. I had contacted him to ask for a little bit more, to learn a little bit more. I think somebody might have their radio on. So if you can turn that down, because we can hear the echo. If one of you, maybe Stetson, you might have yours on. I'm not sure. If so, turn that down and we won't hear the delay. But when I did contact Brandon, he just said, hey, I don't want to be known as that guy. If you got any questions, I can answer them. And it just nice as can be. He's his own guy doing his own thing, having his own adventures. And he's like, here you go. And this is it. Here's the video. And I totally respect that and understand that, where some people think, oh, well, he might be behind it. No, I don't get that at all from him. He seemed like a very honest, genuine guy, just doing his thing and on another adventure. And this is what you guys were doing. You're a systems analyst, and your husband in Stetson is a 10-year Air Force veteran. It's not like you guys are wanting to make up something and say, hey, let's go on our 10th anniversary and see the scenic fall colors on the train ride from Durango to Silverton. And you guys, by the way, are from Cheyenne, Wyoming. You guys are just celebrating life and life together and looking for elk and enjoying the colors. And then you got a great surprise.
Right. And Brandon is a very nice guy. And we actually didn't, he sat beside my husband the whole time, but we actually didn't talk to him the entire train ride to Silverton. We're enjoying our anniversary, just the two of us. And so we didn't really even speak to Brandon because we didn't know him. And he was kind of on his own little journey, And so afterwards, that's when we got to know Brandon, and we, talked to him about the video and all about what we just experienced. And then we got to learn a lot about him and his travels. And he's just on a year-long travel experience across the Southwest states and just doing all kinds of adventures and taking pictures. And he just kind of wanted his own privacy, like you said,
And Stetson, is there anything else you want to add to what was happening?
Not directly. My wife's pretty much summed up everything to a very reasonable, exact time frame and exact, imagery and example of what we saw and, the exact context of what we were experiencing.
So stay with us. We're talking about the Silverton Bigfoot. We're talking with Shannon and Stetson Parker, the couple that was there. We've got some pictures. You can go to our website and you'll see the pictures that Shannon's got. And we're also going to talk to the man that is the VP over the train, the railroad station. And I'm going to tell you more about who they are and what they're about, too. He's going to join us. So stay with us. You're listening to Coast AM. Connie Willis here with you. You're listening to Coast AM. Connie Willis here with you, a Bigfoot researcher, investigator, whatever you like to say. But in all of the areas, I love to research it. But my biggest thing, I think you always start out because as you're a kid, you're probably in a haunted house. There's probably a ghost in your house. That's usually how all this kind of stuff starts for most people. It could happen along the way growing up. But when you start early and things happen, you start reaching out and you go further and further into something else. Usually, and some people stay in the ghost world all their lives, but me, I'm like, okay, what else is out there? Oh my gosh, alien, what's this? Aliens, alien abduction, alien hybridization project, remote viewing. You go on and on. You keep learning and learning because you want to learn more. And if you are in that world, and not everybody is, right? But if you are, you just want to learn more, and you see how it all connects. And at one point I was introduced to the Bigfoot world, and let me tell you, once you're there, that's where you're going to stop for a while because it is fun. It's exciting. There's so many different things to it and facets to it that the other ones don't offer. And basically, because you can have a relationship with these, they will talk with you. Due to the Native American background, with all their knowledge of it, they call it mind speak. But if you're in the UFO world with aliens, they call it telepathy. But you get into it deeper and deeper. If they like you, they're going to show themselves. And if you continue to stay active in that world of going to have a relationship with the areas that have the activity and the ones that are out there and they like you, you will grow a deeper and deeper relationship with them. And it's amazing, the stories that we all hear here on Coast to Coast, right? You know them, you've heard them. And I know there's a bazillion researchers out there right now, some that I've learned from, that are listening tonight, and they believe it's a hoax and others do not. It's like, no, it's for real. And you wouldn't believe the direct messages I get where people don't want to say either or, except directly messaging me. They don't want to get into the fight and the argument, which is a shame that happens. It can be fun to some people, I guess, but it gets, I don't know, it gets kind of old to me at one point with all the fighting. And why, let's just listen to each other, debate it, go back and forth. That's all fine. But in the Bigfoot world, it is just so exciting because you can actually see them. You can, I think you can see them more and have a better relationship if you take the camera away. And I think a lot of people would give you a thumbs up on that. But, you can capture them. And this, I believe, is an absolute genuine capture. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And if you go to our website, you're going to see the shots that our couple that is here with us tonight, Shannon and Stetson Parker, are talking. It's Shannon's pictures that we got here. The video that was shot, Brandon, you can also find it within our website under Tim Banal has an article on it, and you'll see the video. Of course, the video is all over the place. Again, it was Dr. Leo Rukeby. You guys got to check him out. He's the one who said, Connie, did you see this? You can find him at Rukeby.com to learn more about him. Amazing guy. He's like, it's different because it's in Newsweek. I'm like, what? Because we see these all the time. But I want you to take a look at the video, take a look at the pictures. And keep in mind when you see videos that other people have put up there after they put up a filter and they've done this and they've done that, or they've pulled out their own still shots, got to remember with still shots, especially in the Colorado area. And I'm in Colorado, and look at that terrain, by the way. All these things you have to look at, the time of day, the shadows that are happening, the movement of this thing. So look at the movement, not just the still shots, and be careful what people put out there because they put different filters in there and they stop it where they want to stop it on a frame. And they talk about that either to the point of it's real or to the point that it's not. So you got to remember these things, keep an open mind, and just trust your own gut. If your gut says it's a hoax, okay, move on. We're done, right? If your gut tells you it's not, well, let's learn a little bit more about it. Now, I'd like to say as a researcher, what I saw when I first saw it, it was absolutely amazing to me. I was like, oh my gosh, they caught one. And what I loved about it is that it seemed to be as it was walking, and then, oh, there's a train. I need to hide. Wait a minute. I'm in the area that's very open. What do? Well, there's a bush over there. Takes a few steps, gets to the bush, and then squats down. I love the squatting part because you really see an angle of it that really shows muscles and the head and the neck, right onto the shoulder, the no neck, basically. And you see it just hide away and go away. And when people say, how come we can't see these things? Well, if you look at it in the video, you can see how it blends in perfectly. Now, a lot of people said, no, it looks like the hair is off. It's got too much hair. It looks old. It looks young. It looks this. I actually think it's a juvenile with the blonder hair. That's me. Somebody said the feet are too small to be a Bigfoot. Well, it's really kind of hard to tell in the picture, but if it's a juvenile, that would match. And by the way, juveniles also run out on their own. That's what always causes a lot of the havoc and the problems from our research and my research. And all that I'm saying is my opinion right now. It's my opinion, my thoughts. And I counted how many I have actually seen before. And I have 5 that I've actually seen before. And you know what? They all look different. And if anybody knows Dennis Full, love Dennis Full. Thank you, Dennis Full, for being in my life. You're absolutely wonderful guy. The biggest guy a part of Erickson Project, or you might know, is the Pancake House. And he has showed me areas and he has taught me so much. And I remember asking him at one point about one of the ones I saw and the ears of it. And Jason Frank showing me these things as well. And, he said, Connie, because I said, maybe that's a dog man. He was like, or maybe they just all look different. And you know what? All the ones I saw did look different. One of them that I actually got a picture myself of in the backside looked like the Patterson-Gimlin film that they got. And, but the other ones all look very different. And this one to me picked up on one that I saw that looked just like that, where I was like, oh my gosh, what was that? Because it had a lot of hair like that. I still think you're seeing a lot of shadows. And when the film stops and you have a still picture, you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to see certain things. Remember, there's going to be pixelation. This is far away. And we're going to be talking and finding out more about the distance and the speed of the train. So that's coming up for you. But I just wanted to say, take a couple other looks at this. When people say, oh, a Bigfoot would never walk like that. And these are people saying it that have never seen a Bigfoot. So it's like, how can you say that? But, look at the way they're walking. It's more like a human. Well, I'm going to tell you, even the pads of a Bigfoot, I'm going to play a sound for you here if I can find my other eraser. Okay. Somebody had said to me at one point, this is how they sometimes when you're around them, you'll hear this. Now, I got 2 erasers, but they're not like the erasers when we were younger and we would clean the chalkboard. But remember when you would clean the chalkboard and then you had to hit the erasers together to get all the chalk out? That exact sound a lot of people hear. And I remember somebody telling me at that one point, and lo and behold, we were all out on an outing at that point. But lo and behold, the next day morning, very early, I heard that. And it went across where I was. It went from one location, hearing that sound, and I'll try it again with this, but it went like this. And at that point, to me, my theory was, oh, that's it running. That's its feet. And from then on, when other people said, I heard this like flip-flop sound, which is very similar to that. When you walk with flip-flops and you get that flip, 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 I think it's their feet. I think that's them walking. So now, when it comes to the walking as well, you're in the Rockies. It is called the Rockies for a reason. It is rocky, and there are sharp rocks. Take a look at the terrain in the pictures. Sharp rocks everywhere. You have to be careful. Even in the best hiking boots, you're going to get some rocks that go right up into your boot, no matter how good they are. You got to be careful because it's not flat either, and it's not continuously choppy. You got to look where you're going to walk, and it looked like to me that was even doing that. It was like, oh, no, wait a minute, there's a train. Let me get over here. Let me find a spot to hide. And it does like a double step. And then you'll see, and in the still shots, you'll see this too. The leg looks like it comes up weird. And some people say, well, that's how people walk in a suit. And that's why it looks so weird. But actually, when you see footprints from Bigfoot and what we believe to be Bigfoot prints, not only do they walk in a straight line, and I actually see that happening in the video, but also you don't see, they don't slide their feet. When you see footprints, you never see that the toes are dragged. The only one time I saw that in what we believed were Bigfoot prints, and they were huge, we saw that in snow that was about 4 to 5 feet deep. Okay, then I can imagine there's going to be a little bit of some toe drag, but you don't normally see toe drag. Ask your researchers out there. And so in doing that, it's more like a march and a stomp. So their feet go up, and if you look at their legs, they got that march set up, and then they come back down. You can also see that in the Patterson-Gimlin film. Now you get past that, and it squats down, and it's hiding, which I don't think anybody that's trying to do a stunt and going, hey, look at me, I don't think they're going to hide after they do all that work to get into that vast little area there. But then what I want you to look at, which most people have never even mentioned, is the head movement. The head movement is something I've not seen either. However, I saw one scaling the mountain once, and the speed of it, at one point, when it got higher up the mountain, it actually had its arms grabbing a tree and pulling itself up higher and grabbing the next tree with the other arm. And then the right arm would grab another tree and pull itself up. And then it grabbed with the left arm, it grabbed another tree and scaled all the way up the mountainside. And it went faster and faster and faster. The head never moved. You could put 100 books on his head and it wouldn't have come off. But when it got faster and faster, you could see a slur in the arms. Does that make sense? Like you would see in the old comic books with Superman, you could see when Superman got faster, right? And it did that kind of blur kind of thing. That's what I saw with my eyes of these things, of this one particular one going up the side of one of the mountains in the Rockies. Now, this particular one that we're talking about tonight, look at the head movement when it's squatted down. It's so fast and quick. No one has mentioned that at all. How can you not mention that? Why isn't anybody looking that far? They're just saying it's not or it is, and they're not looking deeper into it. Okay, I think it's real, so maybe that's why I'm looking deeper into it. But look at the head movement. It's fast. Is that part of the interdimensionalness? Is that something else we should look at to go, wait a minute, they're just as fast in our world? Because I've seen that a couple times now. And that was kind of the movement of the head, how fast it was when I saw the arm scaling up the mountain at one point. So take a look at the head because it's very similar to the head movement of a fly. Okay. A lot of you watch flies. We've talked about that before. So look at the head movement of the fly. Let's bring back Shannon and Stetson Parker, the couple that was on that train, and let's see if they have anything to answer back with what I just mentioned.
Hey, Connie. That's what we thought too. Like looking at the head, it was like, what was it doing? Like the head is going back and forth so fast, and it just didn't look like a person to us. Like I don't know anyone who like would shake their head like that. And then I think
imagine
also,
being in a suit as well to do that.
Right. It was just like it was completely odd, looking to us. And I think like even with the walk, it's like hunched over, like it has very protruding like hunch nature when it's walking as well, which was, different for us as well.
So you would say, do you believe it's real?
Do what?
Do you believe it's real?
I mean, I do believe it's real. And there hasn't been anything that has came out that is like conclusive to say that it was someone in costume. I know like the ghillie suit, that's not a thing. I've even seen where they've interviewed one of the manufacturers of a ghillie suit, and that person was like, this is definitely not a ghillie suit. And then I know everyone on, I guess, Twitter, we don't really do Twitter, but Twitter or X automatically went and said it was the expedition company, the Sasquatch place in Silverton, and just automatically dismissed the video saying that it's a hoax put on by them. However, they said multiple times that it wasn't them, but, some of their Facebook posts, I guess, have been a little cheeky about that. But I saw an interview that was done recently with Outside Online, and they went and interviewed the owner of the company, and he said it wasn't them and that he didn't even consider, pranking a train to get publicity. However, he has enjoyed the 10,000 visits to his website, daily because of the sighting. So it's like, I don't understand why people automatically, said that it was them, and they outright said it wasn't. And even like when people, go and say it's that costume, it doesn't look anything like the pictures like that we zoomed in on. That costume doesn't look anything like what we saw.
And Stetson, what are your thoughts on that?
Very similar. I definitely believe in Bigfoot. After seeing it with my own eyes, I've had my fair share of people challenge me and say like, well, I mean, it's impossible. There's no way that's really Bigfoot. And, I always welcome back with, if it's not Bigfoot, then what is it? Can you give me a logical explanation as to what it is, what your opinion on it is? And, a lot of people are like, oh, it's a hunter, or, oh, it's this. And it's like, and some of those, like my wife said, are in my opinion, pretty easily, like ways to disprove their logic with hunting or ghillie suits. If it is a suit, is something that somebody bought online, that's an amazing costume, and I would not want to know exactly what they paid for it. I think I'd rather have an actual physical encounter with a Bigfoot than pay, $1,000 or better for a costume like that.
Was the area where you saw it, was it in a vast area, or was it right there next to the depot?
It was pretty vast. I mean, I would say we were probably 2 miles or so from Silverton, Colorado. So we weren't terribly too far, but there were no access roads in that particular spot. The access roads I had seen up to that point were just a couple of them, and they were mostly roads that were there in support of the railway itself, but none near where we saw Bigfoot.
Okay. Stetson and Shannon Parker with us. They're going to stay with us for next hour. And we're also going to talk with Jeff Johnson, the VPGM of the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more from him. And we'll be taking your phone calls as well. Stay with us. You're listening to Connie Willis, the Silverton Bigfoot, True or Not, on Coast to Coast AM.